Fala galera, tudo bem com vocês? Recentemente o Plathead, que é um podcast da língua inglesa, que é composto por alguns casters do Valorant NA, fizeram uma edição do podcast analisando a cena geral do Valorant. E eles falaram bastante sobre a Loud, tanto no VCT quanto sobre os próximos Masters e Champions. E até comentaram sobre o sistema de franquias. E separamos esse trecho aqui pra gente conferir. Mas antes, confere aí se você tá inscrito aqui no canal, mais de 60% das pessoas que assistem nossos vídeos não são inscritas. E a sua inscrição, o seu like, ajudam demais o nosso trabalho.
So let's talk Brazil, then we'll move on to Korea. Both Loud and DRX, I believe, have not lost a map since Reykjavik.
They haven't. As a matter of fact, Loud just win everything 13-0.
Loud have only had one map out of their 8.
Map differential.
They have only had one map out of 8 where their opponents got to double digits. And it was the most recent game, click the game Landers Blue
useless game.
It was this one where they allowed their permaban through.
Yeah.
Because they were just trolling against Game Landers.
And they still won.
They just played the optic comp, the mech comp, and they won despite the fact that Split is their permaban. They still won 17-15.
And then the next map, what happened? Oh.
Dude, I was going to VOD review these matches, by the way. I was like, oh man, I should look at Loud. I haven't looked in a while. And I was like, okay, like they're really good, like the last event they're at. Like, let's take a look. And I saw their map score. I was like, okay, never mind. And I just didn't bother looking at their stuff because like it's clear they're just infinitely better.
It's kind of, in some sense, it's kind of dull watching the Loud games and following them because they are just on a different, it's not even one tier above the rest of Brazil. It's like 2-3 tiers above the rest of Brazil.
Yeah, they're just so good right now. I mean, they played Fracture twice, and in rounds, they're 26-2 in 2 Fracture maps.
It's actually
it's just, yeah, I mean, they're just so much better than the competition right now. Even on rounds where they're like on rounds where they're supposed to lose, Pancada's just all right. I'll just get 3.
Yeah, and that makes it difficult though to tell if they've gotten better. Do you not think?
Yes, it does. Because some regions you've got this big fish, small pond thing going on, right? Which listen, we'll get onto DRX later because I was watching that.
Bro,
game.
there's no water left in Brazil.
Exactly.
Loud's taking all the water.
Louder are fucking, they are the blue whale in a pond. They have just displaced the water and every other team is starving. It's suffocating outside of the pond. They have taken up all the space. They are that good that at that point you're watching the VODs, you cannot tell if they've made improvements. You just know that they are really fucking good.
I mean,
they've made some comp changes.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say. One of the things that they have changed is that Les is playing a lot more chamber now. And I think that was perhaps one of the differences, if you look at Reykjavik in hindsight, is that they weren't really playing as much chamber as some of the other teams, and notably weren't playing it as much as Optic, who were taking full advantage of the fully busted chamber at that time. I mean, chamber's still OP, but it was even more OP then. Yeah. And they were taking full advantage of him with Ye, and Loud weren't at that point. They like Pancada played him on Breeze, I want to say. It was like on a couple maps.
In stage 1, they played like one map of Aspas playing chamber, one map of Les, and then one map of Pancada.
It might have been something like that, yeah. But Les is playing a lot more of the chamber now, putting them in position to pop off. I mean, yeah, they're crazy. I mean, all of their stats are kind of bonkers because they're just smoking everybody.
Sorry, if you could go to Les's page and look at his chamber stats, he has 0.97 KPR. It's just like,
Jesus Christ.
He's just going dumb crazy with it. There's chamber at the bottom.
They're just frying the other teams right now. From the games, from the maps that I watched, I think they're playing good comps on the maps. They're playing the good comps of right now at an elite level. And there's not much more to say than that. I mean, they're playing good comps. They have crazy skill. They have the team play on lock. Yep. They still look amazing. And they've got to be one of the favorites for Copenhagen.
Aspas is frying as well.
Man.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is the biggest argument for the partnership system.
What,
for Loud play against consistently better competition?
Yeah, I mean,
sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Loud are going to get tested at Copenhagen, and then champions. They're guaranteed to make it to champions at this point, pretty much. I mean, they are. And then they will hopefully get a spot in the franchising system and play against much better teams much more regularly, because at the moment they're just smoking.
Slaughtering.
And how much better can you get when your competition isn't testing you too much? There are some teams in Brazil though that are doing some interesting things, interesting trap plays, utility combos. And they sometimes work against Loud. Like, they get the opening couple of picks.
Yeah.
But Loud are able to muscle it back in almost every situation. And it never even becomes too dangerous.
Yeah. And they are bringing in the fade as well, trying some new comps with that. I think they were one of the first teams, at least in a like recorded global match, to bring out this bind fade.
Yeah.
Which has been working for them as well.
I'm not as big on this version of it though as EG's version, where you run the chamber as well. You know, like so it's the same comp except Les would be playing chamber,
Yeah.
and Pancada was running Brimstone in one of their other games as well. So it doesn't, you know, I'm not saying you have to run the Astra with it, but Pancada can pick essentially whatever he likes, Brim, maybe even the Astra, Omen, that kind of stuff. But to me, I really like those solo smoke comps where you allow Les to play the chamber too. You're much less susceptible to being flanked. I don't think you're getting too much value out of the Viper on this map anymore.
With the nerfs.
Yeah, I mean, some of the teams in Brazil were trying to run solo smokes, but they were just doing the like normal default smokes that don't provide the line of sight gap from heaven, and just getting rolled with it. But I think if you play it well, it's a really effective comp. This Loud comp functions a bit more like a Sova Sky kind of thing.
What a scary man.
Yeah,
The
overall,
biggest-
though, I mean, go on, Brad.
I was going to say the biggest mark against them coming into Reykjavik was always just the inexperience, right? Because Les and Aspas are pretty young, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, they're very young. Les
Yeah.
is 17, Aspas is 19, 18, something
Just
like
young
that.
guys and
Very
experience
young.
on the global stage, and now they've got more experience than most people.
Yes.
Even though they kind of just went through the upper bracket, so they didn't play that many matches. But
I think people forget they got through the upper bracket to get to the grand finals as well. Like, they beat Optic,
Yes.
and they had 2 map bans, and sure, it was
And
a bit of a
all the
collapse,
time-
but they
all
were
the time in
favored.
interviews as well, they were like, "Yeah, our focus at Reykjavik is like just to, just looking at champs."
Yeah.
Like that was it the entire time. Their eye has always been on the end of the year.
Sorry, I'm just giggling at how ludicrous that cosmic divide is, to the point where Sassy sees the diffuse happening and knows that the player has to be in that exact spot to do that. But I don't know, man. Just watching Loud, it's like they're just beating up the
Yeah,
youths.
they're not being tested really.
Just stealing their lunch money.
Yeah. It would be great to see Loud play. It will be great to see Loud play against better teams again.
Yeah.
I agree.
Is there even any more to be said about
No,
this team?
They're just
really
insane. They look
yeah.
like they should like top 4 minimum heading into Copenhagen. Minimum.
Yeah.
You know, again, up there with they're one of the teams that you have to say could win the tournament, make the finals. They're just still at the top.
Yeah.
Mas e aí, qual a sua opinião sobre o que foi falado? Concorda? Discorda? Deixa aí nos comentários, deixa também aquele like, se inscreve no canal pra não perder nada, aquele abraço, até o próximo vídeo.